it going, everyone? My name is David, and welcome back to another Wednesday episode of Hawk Talk here. We got the similar crew that we've always had, minus one. Rance, unfortunately, couldn't come today. Looks like the flu bug kind of bit him as well, but I am happy to have Carson back here, even though if he might not be in tip-top shape, the usual energy that you hear from him might not be there, but he's back, and I'm glad that he's feeling better, that he's able to come. And we got Alex as well in the fishbowl, and then as usual, we have Zach and Ryan here next to me. So yeah, we got a pretty good show for you today. It's I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of Chris, what he did yesterday with the NFL trade deadline, because I just obviously I'd want to talk about it some as well, even though I feel like it wasn't nearly as crazy as it was last year. Not as many like real blockbuster deals. But we'll get into that in a little bit. First of all, as usual, we have our obscure sports segment, something we've been doing since I believe the second week of the year. And it was funny. I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and then Drew Best, the station manager, was putting the host chat, and he's like, "Guys, I need our obscure sports topics to become a little bit more obscure." And I was like, well, I just talked about spike ball a couple weeks ago, so I feel like I don't know how much more obscure it can get than that. But then I went onto my phone, I went onto TikTok. Kid you not, first video I opened was of a competitive wiffle ball league, and this dude throwing this pitch that looked like it had like some sort of like steroids on it, went like up and then down and like to the side and some like crazy stuff. So I thought that, because I've seen videos like that before, and I thought that could be a great topic to kind of discuss, because there's been a lot of wiffle ball leagues popping out kind of around. So yeah, Zach, how about you, man? What you ever played like wiffle ball before?
I think I played it a few times before in gym class when I was in middle school and high school, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's literally just like baseball, but it's that you're not using actual baseball; you're just using like a wiffle ball. But you're also using like a bat too. But yeah, I played before in school. Yeah, and it's fun. Right.
Yeah. No. Definitely. And I think the kind of the draw to it is that because of the perforations that are in the ball, when you throw it, like the way that the air moves it can make it move in these like crazy directions, so you can get some like crazy movement on the ball. But yeah, Ryan, how about you? You ever play wiffle ball before? Have you seen like kind of like these wiffle ball leagues that have been popping up on social media?
Yeah, I played wiffle ball a lot of times when I was younger. I played a lot like with, I guess, I kind of played sometimes like with my, like, well, there was like these two neighbors that played with a lot, I think.
Right.
But mostly with my friends.
Yeah, was it ever something you played in like gym class or anything?
I would say kind of.
Right, okay.
I would play like more, like normally like in my, I always played it like in my backyard, or like at a park.
Yeah. Right, yeah. I feel like it's a great, like, kind of summertime thing. Play at a park, play with some friends. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, no, I definitely played it, like, when I was much younger. Except I had, like, the big orange plastic bat, like, just that really cartoonishly large one. I had the plastic ball, obviously, the wiffle. And I want to say I played it with my cousins once. And, we were real young and stuff. But I want to say, like, my one cousin, she pitched it to me. I hit it. I drilled her in the head.
Oh, my God.
Which was unfortunate. But, what can I say? I wasn't there to make friends. I was there to hit dingers. Like,
right.
You got the goal. You got the mission.
Right.
Just, but we stopped playing after that.
Hitting a dinger is hard, too, with that. Like, you got, like, the small bat that kind of looks like you just tore it off of a limb of a tree. Mm-hmm. So that's impressive, man. I hope you're... Oh, imagine if it would have been, like... I hope it wasn't, like, where the hole in the ball was, because, oh, man, that little, like, square just welt on your face. Ooh, man. Carson, what about you?
So I have played. I play a couple times a year with my friends. I'm not as good at it as my friends are, but I'm more so the announcer. So like, if I'm pitching or if I'm in the outfield, I'll just pretend like I'm the play-by-play or the color.
Oh, there you go.
So, and they always get a kick out of that, so I love that. But for the competitive leagues, were you talking about World Wiffle Ball?
That was one of them, yeah.
Because the rules there are like really weird, because like for at-bats, there's no called balls or strikes. There's no hit by pitches. There's no unintentional walks. You can strike out swinging, though, but that's just like a few of the weird rules.
Right.
So.
I know one of the big things about wiffle ball that I've seen. I saw this really cool, and I think it was called like UWA wiffle ball or something. I'm not sure what it was called, but they had a little box in the batter's box, like behind where the umpire would be for a strike zone. And if it hits the strike zone, then like that's how you keep count pretty much. But I think one of the main differences that actually separates it from baseball and makes it a little more dangerous, but also a little more fun is pegging. Is where you can like if a runner's on, instead of like going like force outs and everything, if a runner is like in between the baits pass, you can just try to nail them, and if you hit them, they're out. I know that when I used to play in recess, we would always try to peg each other, and it resulted in a couple of injuries, but it was also a lot of fun. It's high risk, high reward, because if you miss, then like it's always extra bases. But yeah, I actually had a pretty cool wiffle ball experience my sophomore year here, all the way back in 2021, which makes me feel really old. But yeah, it was a spring splash so it's maybe around April. And you know how it is, if you guys don't know, spring splash is pretty much just where it's kind of like a huge party day on campus. A lot of the fraternities and the sororities come out. Everyone's having like house parties and stuff. Me and my group of buddies, we were out there in the day and everything, but during the nighttime, as we started to wind down, we kind of just wanted to chill. And we knew that cops, the Whitewater cops, would be all like patrolling like Tratt Street and all like the main like house blocks where a lot of parties would be. So we thought that the last place they'd think to look would be on campus. So what we did was that we got some stuff, and we went to the tennis courts, like right in front of the Williams Center. We went to the tennis courts, turned the lights on. It was like 8 p.m. and we started playing wiffle ball. And it was oh man, I just remember it was one of the most fun times I've had, because it was like 75 degrees. There's a nice breeze, and it was a really fun time. And I always think it's like one of the main reasons that it's hard to play to enjoy baseball is that the amount of setup it takes is so hard to play it recreationally. Like with basketball or football, you can you get like 3 or 4 guys and you can make like a couple hours out of it. But with baseball, you got to get all the equipment, and you got to get like at least, to make it fun, like 6 or 7 guys, and that sometimes just isn't plausible. But for wiffle ball, I feel like it's a lot easier because you don't need as many people, and I remember that being a great experience for me. But yeah, I felt like that was kind of a good topic to talk about. Drew said we needed to get obscure, so I went obscurer. Is that a word? I'm not sure if that's a word.
It is now.
No,
it is.
Well, it is now. Yeah,
it is
we'll
now.
say it's now.
Merriam-Webster, hit me up. I got a couple ideas actually. But yeah, moving into our first main topic. Yesterday, as of 4 p.m., was the NFL trade deadline, and anyone who was expecting it to be to rival the 2022 deadline, I'm sorry to tell you, but it didn't. Man, I remember there was just stuff happening like left and right. I remember like T.J. Hawkinson to the Vikings, Darren Waller to the Giants. Oh wait, no, that was off season.
Yep.
Hawk to the Vikings. The Bears thought they struck gold with Chase Claypool, which was really funny.
Let's
But
not forget CMC.
yeah,
That was a big one.
I it's weird. That one, like, I don't remember as it being a deadline because it was like 2 days before. But like, that was honestly one of the big ones as well. But this year there weren't as many. There were a couple of impactful ones, but there wasn't. I don't really think there was that one like huge deal that happened. But still, we had Montez Sweat to the Bears. Kevin Byard to the Eagles, Chase Young to the 49ers, which is crazy to think about the potential for that one. But yeah, so I figured we'd talk about them to start off. So I guess we'll start off with out of those three, the smallest one, which is Montez Sweat to the Bears. So Carson, what do you think about that for each side?
I like that the Bears are adding good defensive depth for them. I mean, Montez Sweat was sometimes above or on the same level as Chase Young in terms of talent and skill.
He was healthier too.
Yeah, he was healthier, so in some cases he was better. But I mean, giving up, your future with picks, I don't really like that because you're trying. A team like the Bears, you should like look for the future, not as of right now.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, they got somebody who's going to be good for them, but they're also giving up on what they need, which is to impact their future with, like, good, skillful young players to help advance. Because, let's face it, they're in, like, rebuild mode.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And the fact that they're getting rid of those picks, it's just a head scratcher. I mean, and also the Commanders getting rid of, I mean, somebody else will talk about Chase Young, but getting rid of 2 of those pillars on their
Literally,
defense.
they're 2 starting edge
Yeah,
rushers.
that's a even bigger head scratcher. I just don't get that. And like for minimal picks too, like
Yeah.
I don't see it. I mean, the Bears, they did for right now they did okay. In general, I would say it's like a C plus trade
Okay.
because of those picks, but
All right, I should say, I'm sorry, I should have said this. I'll say what each of the trades was, but then let's give each one a grade for both sides. So,
Okay.
so it's like the Montez Sweat trade. I'll just say right now was Montez Sweat to the Bears for a 2024 second round pick. And so Carson, you said a C plus for the Bears. What would you give it for the Commanders?
second round pick, yeah, they're gonna be. I would say that's like a B.
Mm-hmm.
A B. It's not great. I mean, I feel like they could have, if they really wanted to, they could have gotten somehow a first rounder from like a really desperate team. But I mean, a second round pick, that's still pretty good, and from a team like the Bears, that's still going to be a pretty like decent pick. So I would say that's like a B, B plus.
Okay. All right. So we got a C plus for the Bears and a B. Let's say like a B.
Yeah, B.
A B for the Commanders for the Montez Sweat trade. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to be something along similar lines. It's tough to say because with Chicago, obviously, like, pass rush has been non-existent. They've needed D-line help, and
Right.
so they're getting that with Montez Sweat. But I feel like contract-wise, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep
Yeah.
those going long-term.
Because that's another big thing because Sweat is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season.
Exactly. So it's like it's a rental. It's like, are they really going to pay him for the long haul? Is this
Mm-hmm.
just to try and like get ahead of free agency? It's tough to really say.
Right.
And plus, giving up the second round pick, they're not going to be good. They haven't been good. They're not going to end up
Yeah.
with a good record. I'm not going to say it's as good as a first round pick like it was last year. But
It's probably going to be a high second though.
exactly,
So,
it's a high second. It's still going to be like nice value. So I feel like for the Commanders, it's tough to say, like, they lose Sweat. Maybe they wouldn't have been able to afford him. So they're just like cutting their losses, getting something for it, and getting a high second is definitely a good thing. I'd give that B plus if they weren't planning to move forward with him. But with the Bears, I mean, really a C. I feel like the draft capital is a bit high, especially if they're not really in a win now mode with such a short, at least at the moment, contract
right.
situation.
I agree completely. Yeah, that's. I definitely think the Commanders got the better half of that trade in terms of what they gave up. But Ryan, what about you?
I'll give the Bears trade a B.
The Bears a B for it. Okay, and what about the Commanders?
Because I obviously know, like I'm a Bears fan, and I think the Bears getting another is sort of defensive end.
Edge rusher, defensive end.
I
Yeah.
think that'll help the Bears defense. And then for the Commanders, I'll give it I mean, that's not really great because because all they got back was a pick.
Yeah, it was a high. It's going to be probably.
It's going to be
I would
early
be
second round.
I would be hard pressed to believe if that wasn't at least in the top 40.
Yeah.
I
I'll give it
definitely
a
agree.
Still, it's no guarantee that it'll pan out.
Right.
That's just it.
Okay, so a B for the Bears for Ryan and a C plus for the Commanders.
C plus or B.
Okay. And then Zach, what about you?
I would have to give for the grade for the Bears. I would probably say C. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of them giving up the second round pick for for a Montez. I mean, just look how the Bears have been for the past how many years. You think they would want to get these top round pick, top draft picks or whatever?
Right.
But that's just me though. I mean, Montez Sweat, he could be a good possibly maybe a good addition to the Bears, but I would just say if I had to pick what grade is appropriate for the Bears, I would just say C. And then meanwhile for the Commanders, for them getting a second round pick, I would say definitely a B for sure for them.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of agree on more of what Zach and Alex were saying, and so I oh wait, Carson, did you say a C for the Bears as well? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So Ryan, I know you're a Bears fan, so I understand how you would want you try to see the positives in it. But if I'm being honest, I I don't know. If I'll say this, my grade rests on whether the Bears re-sign Montez Sweat or
Yeah.
not, because
Yeah.
he is he's going to be an unrestricted free agent after this season. But even if they do, I'm not sure if I really see the vision here. I mean, the Bears obviously are not a team that's built to win right now, and they're probably not going to be built to win in the next couple of years.
They haven't been for the past how many years?
And Montez Sweat.
Rebuilding.
Montez Sweat is going to be 28 years old. It's just like, I'm not sure if that's really the guy that, if it was Chase Young, then it would be a little bit different, but I'm not sure if that's really the guy who, you want to kind of pillar a rebuild, who is already in his prime. And a second round pick, and we don't really know where it's going to land, but if you look at last year with the Chase Claypool trade, which is kind of the same thing, except with the contract the contract differences, but they traded a second round pick and it ended up turning into a first round pick. With the way the Bears trajectory is going right now, like I said, I would be hard pressed to think that pick is anywhere outside the top 40. So I honestly would probably, if the Bears resign Sweat, I would probably say it's like a C+. But for now, I'm going to have to go just with the C, just because it doesn't. I mean, Montez Sweat is a great player, and make no mistake, right now he is the best defensive end. He's the best defensive lineman on the Bears, and he'll definitely this year. It'll definitely be interesting, him and Yannick Ngakoue on opposite edges. It's a decent pass rush tandem, but if both of those guys are gone in the next season, and the Bears pretty much just gave up a second round pick for 8 games of Montez Sweat, I can't really see how they would win that trade. Plus, I saw on Barstool Chicago, their Twitter today, that Montez Sweat has said that he is not open to contract negotiations at this time, and that he said there's a good chance he might test free agency.
Wow.
Which, that doesn't mean that the Bears won't get him back, but it doesn't appear to be heading in the right direction. But for the Commanders, I really do think that they're also trending towards a rebuild. And I'm honestly surprised they didn't try to give up more of their offensive players, like
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel.
McLaurin.
Maybe they're trying
McLaurin.
to keep that bit at least, because with Sam Howell, they're still trying to keep
Right.
because that's right now is their top priority. Is just trying
Right.
to keep him developing. Did well against Philadelphia this week.
Oh,
Didn't
he
you
really
say
did. I
you're
was against him in fantasy. I
Yeah.
lost by 4 points.
Yeah, that's
And
gotta
it was-
hurt. But
but-
I figured maybe they're trying to stick with that. But fire sailing the whole defense has been interesting so far.
Right, yeah. But I get it, if it's a classic. If you're not going to re-sign somebody, you might as well trade them and get something for them instead of just letting them walk. And after Daron Payne, I would definitely say Sweat has been the most consistent defensive weapon for the Commanders for the last couple of years. So I'd give it like a B. I'd give it a solid B. So all around, though, we are saying around maybe a B for the Commanders, maybe a C+ to B- for the Bears. I'd be willing to move my grade up for the Bears if they re-sign Sweat, though. Second trade is one of the other big ones. It was the earliest one, but 4-time Pro Bowler and 2-time All-Pro safety Kevin Byard going to the Philadelphia Eagles, as if that secondary wasn't strong enough. Wow, yeah, that one's really interesting. I feel like there's no other better person to start off with than Zach. You got the Hurts jersey on. How do you feel about your guys' secondary adding one of the best safeties in the league?
I think this is a really good pick, but if I had to pick probably a letter grade though, I would say probably give it a B+. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if I would say, I think it's too early to give it an A grade, but I would
Right.
just say B+. But with that too, and then remember, I think 2 weeks ago too, they got Julio Jones too.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's like, wow, they're really
They're loading up.
they're really
They're loading up.
getting going with all these picks or the trades and stuff. Sorry.
Right, yeah. I believe it was 20, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was a 2024 fourth, and what was it?
5th, 6th, and Terrell Edmonds.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay. I don't know where I got that from. Oh, yeah, okay.
You're close.
So, yeah, it was a 2024 fifth. Was it a 2024 sixth as well?
Yep.
And then Terrell Edmonds. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But Ryan, so I'm sorry. What about what would you give the Titans side of it? They get back a 5th, a 6th, and a decent defensive back.
I would probably just say a B too, as well. I mean,
Okay.
Eagles, I would give it just a B+. But yeah, but Titans, I think B. I'll just
Yeah.
give it that.
Okay. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, I think like I would give I would give the trade a B. Where did he come from again?
So Bayard was having the Titans. He went to the Eagles, and the Eagles got back a 2024 fifth, a 2024 sixth,
Yeah,
and Terrell
I think
Edmonds.
I agree. Bayard was it's one of the best safeties in the league, but I also I did hear some rumors that the Eagles were trying to go after Patrick Surtain. Like,
Ooh. Well, that'll have to wait till the offseason.
yeah, no, I think
But
I think what I heard was I think the Eagles were trying to get Patrick Surtain
I would not trade
For-
Patrick Surtain if I'm the
for
Broncos.
James
That's the
Bradbury.
one player I would
For
not
James
trade
Brett,
the Broncos.
that's okay. 1-on-1, that's like Stephon Diggs for Justin Jefferson. People might say that's even, but the age and the contract difference makes
I
that not a good trade.
I
No,
know.
that's
So
Like I would give Eagles probably like a B, cause
right.
and then the Titans I'll give like B. I don't know. I would say like they get a second round pick or
They got a fifth, a sixth, and Terrell Edmonds.
yeah, like I would give like a B, cause
All right, Alex, how about you?
I feel like I feel like a lot of these are just going to be kind of middle of the road. Like nothing's going to be extraordinary, no Fs or As or anything like that. More middling.
Oh, I got a pretty low grade for one of them.
All right, well,
I
I
do
guess
too.
I guess we'll get there. I guess we'll get there. But in the meantime, yeah, Kevin Byard, I feel like more underappreciated most of the time.
Yeah.
Safety,
Yeah.
could be underrated.
He doesn't get brought up a lot, but the
Yeah, the
accolades
Titans, it's kinda
speak for
tough.
themselves. Yeah.
Exactly. So I feel like going to Philadelphia, already a great defense that should give them the platform to shine, and it should definitely help them as a whole within the NFC, try and keep
Right.
up at the top. For Tennessee, I feel like they probably at this point are really just trying to look for the future more.
Right.
So at this point, it's just going to be trying to get rid of some of the bigger pieces. Then
Get
again,
younger.
Yeah, get younger, especially. I mean, you got like Will Levis.
Yeah.
Keep mixing
And
them up.
He looked
Well,
great.
you did. They have that too, but Will Levis did.
He looked
something.
great. Oh my
Memes
God.
are so good, man.
If a fun,
Memes are so good of those two.
Fun statistic actually for quarterbacks making an NFL debut. There are 3 that had 4 touchdowns. One was Fran Tarkenton, the other was Will Levis, and then the other one Marcus Mariota. So
Oh my
2 of
God.
the 3 is just young
2 of
Titans.
the 3 greatest Titans quarterbacks ever.
Yep, and then the other one's the Hall of Famer. So it's just
Wow.
it's a wild stat. But I'd say between the 2, I'll give the Eagles a B plus, and I'll give the Titans a B minus because it's nothing extraordinary, but it's still
Okay.
just moving forward.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty win-win trade.
Yeah.
Carson, what about you?
I kind of agree with Alex, almost word for word. I mean, only giving up a fifth, a sixth, and an okay D-back to get one of the a top 5 safeties is pretty remarkable, especially for a team that is already top tier on both sides of the ball. So I mean, I feel like it's only gonna aid the Eagles. I mean, they didn't really lose much in my opinion. I feel like anything past the 4th round is it's really a gamble on if they're gonna be good or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a little bit odd of how the Titans couldn't get something earlier than a 5th and a 6th for a player of that high quality. A player that did lead the team in tackles and interceptions twice in his career there. But, I mean, in terms of a grade, I would probably say the Eagles would... I don't want to be too generous in saying A, because, like Zach said, it is a little bit early to say if it is an A. But, I mean, offhand, it does look like one. So, for the sake of argument, I'll just say a B plus for them. And then for the Titans, a B minus. I feel like they could have gotten more if they really tried. But I mean, 2 picks and an okay D-back isn't really something to complain about.
Well, one thought I had about what he said they couldn't get more. I think part of it is because he is 30. So,
Yeah, and his money,
he is
yeah.
aging out of his prime a little bit, but also is that, like with most guys that are big names traded, at the trade deadline is that he's an expiring contract. He'll be an unrestricted free agent next year. I think, or maybe he'll be, I'm not sure. I know he'll be a free agent next year. So obviously the value is a little bit less because the team that's trading for him is either going to have to pay him or they're only getting his services for a half season. So players like that are usually really hot trade commodities, but that also kind of hits their value a little bit. And I think with the Eagles, I think this is a good play. Obviously, we saw how good C.J. Gardner-Johnson adjusted after only spending a year in Philadelphia. Last year was, you could argue, a top 3 safety. I mean, right after Derwin and Minka, you could say that CJ was number 3 last year. And I think I do think Bayard is he's definitely out of, he's not completely out of his prime, but he's definitely in the back end of it.
Yeah.
But I still think that paired with you put him in free zone or the different schemes that the Eagles defense likes to play. Pair him with Slay and Bradbury, and that he'll be a very nice piece. And I think that with Terrell Edmonds, he's a good player, but the thing is that the Eagles, like, their defense and their secondary especially, they just have too many pieces, like especially if Keely Ringo, 2023 fourth round pick from Georgia, develops into the cornerback 2 once Slay retires, then there really just isn't any room for Edmonds. So I understand wanting to trade somebody who has a little bit of value because he's younger. And the picks, obviously, it doesn't look like much, but then you think it's like Jalen Ramsey got traded for like a 5th round pick last year, and J.C. Jackson, obviously he's not, but still, I mean, he only got traded for a 6th, 2 years removed after, or a couple of years removed after leading the league in interceptions. So
he's kind of back to that now.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know, like big name, like, defensive backs that are a little bit out of their prime maybe just don't have as much value now. But I think it's probably like a B+ for the Eagles, help load up on the secondary depth a little bit more. And for the Titans, I think that's decent value. I mean, you look at the state of how the division is, and obviously the Jags have full control, which is cool because I like the Jags a lot. I think they're a fun team, but
You got to use that teal more often. It's
right,
beautiful.
right. But yeah, so I mean, you might as well just try to get younger. A 5th, a 6th, and a decent DB is better than just letting them walk for nothing. Because obviously, 30-year-old is not going to re-sign with a team that is trending towards a rebuild. So I think it's a good trade. I'd probably say like a B-. But yeah, now let's get into probably what is the biggest deal. And I'm not completely sold on it for the 49ers yet, but Chase Young to the 49ers
Yes.
for a 2024 third-round pick. Wow. First of all, I'll start off with this one because, man, I got some thoughts. The Commanders, the Montez Sweat trade, I understand a little bit more. He's turning 28, unrestricted free agent next year. Team's trending towards a rebuild, so, he's kind of more of a win-now player. But my God, dude, for the number 2 overall pick, who's just only 24, and yes, he has suffered a couple injuries, but I mean, you think of how good Chase Young was back in his rookie year. Oh my God, like 11 and a half sacks, was top 5 in quarterback pressures, and was also top 5 in quarterback hurries. Like, man, to only get a 3rd-round pick from a guy that, if used properly, could have the potential to be like up there with guys like Max Crosby, Josh Allen, T.J. Watt, like guys like that. Man, to only get a 3rd, it feels like a little bit much. And I understand that Daron Payne is like, after paying him, like, it doesn't, like, I don't know. For what Chase Young probably wanted, it doesn't make, like, it would kind of be hard to pay 2 edge rushers, but it's like, it just looks so bad now. I say it has to be like a D at best for the Commanders. But for the 49ers, man, I don't understand how they keep getting away with this. Like if you look at their defensive line, they're just their defense, guys like Eric Armstead and Dre Greenlaw and Talanoga Hufanga and Tre'Davious Ward, those are like the afterthoughts now. All four of those guys are multiple-time Pro Bowlers, and they're like not even the main like stipulations in the defense now. You have Chase Young and Nick Bosa lining up on opposite sides, and if anyone can get production from a guy who maybe hasn't lived up to his full potential yet, it's Kyle Shanahan, man. That's got to be an A at the bare minimum for the 49ers. But Carson, what about you?
It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I mean, the one player.
Oh yeah, as a
wanted-
Seahawks fan, you probably man.
It's just it never gets easy. The rich get richer and we stay the same. The only thing that could make sense for it to be a third rounder is that, I mean, like you said with Daron Payne, giving him all that money, they don't really have that luxury to spend on like Chase Young or Montez Sweat. So at that point, they're kind of just like getting rid of him because they can't afford him, so they're going to get whatever they can. But only a third? I mean, the Seahawks could have done that, man. We got Leonard Williams for a second.
That was what I was gonna bring that one up after.
I'll talk about him too when you bring him up. But I mean, just to the Niners, why do they always make such like ridiculous and big things at the deadline? Like last year with McCaffrey, Chase Young can't stay healthy, so that could also imply the
that
third.
could have impacted the trade
that
value a
could have
bit.
impacted it. But I mean, McCaffrey also was on that line of like he couldn't stay healthy, and now he's like rarely injured in like San Francisco. So is something similar going to happen to this too, where Chase Young all of a sudden he's not as injured as much anymore, and
Right.
and you put him alongside Nick Bosa and many other players.
Fred
that
Warner,
Fred Warner,
Drake Greenlaw,
Eric
Kinlaw,
Armstead. Yeah,
Eric
it's just-
Armstead.
I mean,
Man, the
the list
names,
goes on and on.
really
That's-
does.
It's just ridiculous how it's only a third round pick, and I feel like of all of the trades that have happened, this is the only one that truly deserves an A for San Francisco.
Right.
And I mean, for Washington, given everything that was said, like with the money and they're just trying to get what they can out of him, I mean, that's going to also be that's also going to be a low third round pick. So, like, it's going to be in the back end. So I can't say a C. No, I'm going to say a C. That's just. Even with the understanding of why they did it, I feel like only a third is just crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's impacted because of the fact that he is going to be a free agent, but I was thinking about it, and if the Commanders were going to trade him, why would they not pick up his fifth-year option, which would give them way more leverage, because teams would then think, hey, well, instead of him being a free agent now, we still have a year to work with before we need to franchise tag if we have to. So not picking up the option, it's just, man, Ron Rivera, what are you doing, man?
Literally, man, what is he doing?
He's just the coach. He's not the GM.
No, I know, but I know.
Then we
But
can
still,
blame-
what is he doing
we can
is a
blame
great
who,
question.
Magic Johnson?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
But
Alex.
I obviously, it's a great move. As a Michigan fan, I'm sure you remember what Chase Young and Nick Bosa were able to do. So
It pains me.
So that we're going to see a little taste of that in the NFL, and only for a third round pick, as he said, it's going to be like in the hundreds since it's going to be a late one.
Right.
But to try and play a little bit of devil advocate here, just so that's not nothing but the praise here. I have a friend who's a Niners fan, so he's got a lot of insight into this. He's a bit more indifferent about it because he feels like it's not something that they needed. This is more of a luxury move, and more things that they needed were like defensive backs or interior O-line. Like if they
Right.
had gone for like Ezra Cleveland, that would have been a nice move for him. That's more areas of focus that they should have been worried about. But I mean, in all fairness, he also felt the same about Christian McCaffrey last year. It's like, oh, they've got their own running backs.
I was thinking, I thought that was a bad trade. I was like, Kyle Shanahan has an offense so successful that you could put Danny DeVito in the backfield and he'd probably lumber for 80 yards and a touchdown.
Exactly.
And the thing you think to do is pay for a running back? But I mean, shows how much I know.
Yeah, and I mean, that backfired on him last year, so I could see having the same mentality backfiring again and Chase Young end up being like returning form, as Carson was saying, again, with injuries and stuff.
Right.
Like just they seem to be better with handling those types of stars.
I mean,
Like,
if they get rookie year Chase Young, that is.
yeah, oh, that's
Lord would have
gosh.
mercy.
that's it.
Back to AFC West.
Yeah.
It's just so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, it could just be total wrecking crew. They turn things around, but it's going to be just a matter of seeing if he really does return to form or not.
Right. Okay, how about you, Ryan?
Yeah, like I think this is an A+. It's like I think you have Chase Young playing with Nick Bosa. That's like who's gonna stop that? Yeah, I know. I
Couple.
know. Yeah, I know.
Very
man.
few teams.
Yeah,
Very few
I know a
teams.
few teams, but like, I mean,
No, it's gonna be
I mean, this. Wait, like did Nick Bosa win the Defensive Player of the Year?
Last year he did.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, like you have the reigning like Defensive Player of the Year, and probably a guy that maybe could win the future.
Yeah, I mean he's still only 24.
Yeah, and he's only. So, I think, and then for the Commanders, I would go. Honestly, to be honest, like I would go an F.
Oh,
I think wow.
that is.
Like maybe like a D.
I was gonna say again, if Chase Young still if he had a year or two left on his contract, I would say an F if that's all you're able to get. But
so, to be fair, like I think I'll go with a D because I don't get why you trade like the number 2 overall pick. I mean,
right.
like for a third for a third round draft pick. Like I don't get that.
Right. All right, Zach, how about you?
I would say for the 49ers, I would give it a B+ for them for this trade. I think Chase Young's like would be a great addition for the 49ers. But now for the Commanders, meanwhile, I was almost thinking of saying D+, but I was like, nah, I think C-. I'd say C-. I wouldn't really say like F or anything, but no, I think just C-. I think is just, I would say that's safe to say right now.
Right. Okay, that's fair, and I mean, yeah, like there is a little bit of risk involved with somebody like Chase Young, but just the physical tools and the pass rush moves that he possesses, if used in the right way, is just absolutely insane. But it is going to be interesting. I wanted to show you guys this. It is going to be interesting. The way this trade, I think, could get impacted and could swing the grade down a little bit for the 49ers is if they're not able to extend him, which I don't know if they'll be able to do because I saw this tweet. The 49ers in 2024, and this was taken before the Nick Bosa extension, keep in mind. Our 2024 are due to pay Trent Williams $28 million, Deebo Samuel $29 million, Eric Armstead, $26 million. Fred Warner, $25 million. George Kittle, $20 million. Tre'Davious Ward, $18 million. Javon Hargrave, $15.5 million. Brandon Ayuk, $14 million. And Christian McCaffrey, $14.5 million.
Let the downfall begin.
Yep.
I'll pose this question then: if they're not able to extend him, what if they win the Super Bowl? Does that make it?
Then okay, if they're trying to do
like the
49ers or 49, yeah, the Rams, then yeah, I would say if that's what their goal is. But the thing is that like the reason that worked out so well for the Rams is because they front loaded all of the contracts, like Whitworth's contract, OBJ's contract, Von Miller. They front loaded all those contracts into shorter term deals as it was, so that they didn't have any dead cap hits or any like dead money for 2023 and 2024.
Yeah.
The 49ers, with those players I just mentioned, up until 2025 will account for at least $190 million of the projected $240 million cap. So if they win a Super Bowl, then yeah. But it's like, I get what you're saying when it comes to the Rams
yeah.
situation, but I just the
I'm
amount.
not saying like that's what I usually go for,
Right.
but like
if they win a Super Bowl, then it's definitely worth it.
They've
But
got something to show
the
for
amount
it.
of dead money that they're going to have if they let a couple of these guys, and keep in mind, like, you still have to think of like Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga and Brock Purdy, maybe. Who knows what's going to happen?
And I want to say Ayuk is still on the
And
rookie deal. So
I think like something else that'll be interesting is on New Year's Eve, Chase Young will play against his former team
Yeah.
that's right.
in
They
Washington.
will be playing Washington.
I wonder what the score of that game will be.
Watch out for Sam Howell, baby.
Yeah, he did look good. That made me sad. That made me sad. I started I started Miles Sanders over. I had Dotson on my bench.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah. But yeah, I honestly was going to the Commanders. I was surprised they didn't trade more. Like, oh man, I was, as a Jahan Dotson dynasty owner, I was hoping Curtis Samuel got traded because, you know, how good of Dotson looked last week. If you make him like the wide receiver too, I could look like a genius. But yeah, just crazy money situation. And so that was before the Bosa extension too. And it's like, you got to think they'd want to keep Ayuk around because of how much he's helped Purdy. But yeah. Okay, so those were all the big deals real quick. I just wanted, because I figured, you know, you guys probably aren't as knowledgeable on this, but I wanted to get Carson's opinion. And I was going to ask you about this last week, but unfortunately you weren't feeling good because this happened on Wednesday of last week. But how are you feeling about Leonard Williams for, what was it, a second and a fourth?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I like it. At first, I was like, okay, that might be giving up too much, but the Seahawks, they draft really well, so they can afford to get rid of those picks. We're already a
That is
really
true.
young team, and with the absence of Uchenna Nwosu for the rest of the season.
Oh, is he
they
up for the
need-
season?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I forget his injury, but they needed impact players to fill that hole. I mean, granted, players like Boye Mafe are stepping up big time, but they did sign Frank Clark, so he's
That's
back.
true, yeah.
He's gonna potentially fill that void. And with Leonard Williams, we're already a top 5 defense, so he's just gonna add to it.
Right.
And the reason why at first I didn't really like it because of the second round pick was because, you know, I like drafting, but
Right.
for the reason why instead of like for Chase Young it was a third and for Leonard Williams it's a second is because the Giants are taking up the majority of his cap. Like I
Right.
believe they're taking up like $9 million or so, and then the Seahawks only have to pay about like 16 grand or so, somewhere in that ballpark. It might be in the 100K mark, but the point is that only giving up like those 2 picks and then like still having a very relaxed cap space after signing a quality player to a defense that is the number 1 in the NFC, I would say that's like, if you would have asked me the day of, I probably would have said that's like a C+ or a B-, but like knowing everything and then like all the additions, it just makes sense to put it at like a B, unbiased. And then for the Giants, they get the second and the fourth, which, I mean, those 2 picks are going to be in the middle class of those rounds, I would assume. So
Right.
they're also looking for the future. So I would say that's also a good trade. So in total, I would say you could go Bs on both sides. I mean, you could say one's a B+, the other one's a B-. I just think it's a really good trade when you're looking at all sides.
All right, yeah, I know that. You know, it. Some people are saying that the Giants won that trade just because the pick value. And again, you know, for another, I feel like a broken record, but for a team that's obviously not made to contend anytime soon, you know, getting rid of a guy for a couple of quality picks is good. But I mean, I don't feel like it's a bad move for the Seahawks. I mean, Williams he's a little bit injury prone over the past 2 years, but he you know, like I said, I didn't realize Nwosu was out for the season, but if that's the case, then yeah, then that'll be a good plug for this season. I mean, you guys your guys' defensive line is already pretty good. So yeah, I would say that's kind of like a win-win trade for both teams. But I just wanted to get your opinion on that because I was going to ask you
Thank
about
you.
it last week.
Thank you
but
very much.
Yeah. So yeah, and shout out Frank Clark, Michigan man.
Yes.
Happy
We
to
love
see.
Frank Clark.
Happy to see that he you know, is in a place where he might get utilized more because the Broncos just, man, with him and Randy Gregory, man, they just did not. Man, it was tough to see them.
I actually forgot they were there.
Right. But yeah, so moving into our next topic, we don't have too much time left, but I knew that the trade deadline was going to take up a decent amount of time. But the World Series is now 3-1 in favor of the Rangers. It is looking like it might be the end of the answer backs, unless they're able to send the series back to Texas. We got Zach Gallen versus Nathan Eovaldi today. Hopefully Zach Gallen can kind of right the ship, because right now, I mean, it's been Merrill Kelly looking like the ace so far. But yeah, it's been an interesting series. I don't know if you guys saw before we start talking about our thoughts, but Adolis Garcia and Max Scherzer will both be out for the rest of the series. They got removed from the roster. Scherzer had back spasms in, I think, the third or fourth inning of his start. I think it was in Game 3, and then Adolis hurt his leg on a swing. So obviously, they didn't look like they were missing any offense in Game 4, because, putting up 11 runs. Corey Seager, home run, and Marcus Semien, 5 RBIs. The Rangers offense really is, firing on all cylinders. But yeah, what do you guys think about how the series has gone so far? Zach, we'll start with you.
Well, it's just been an interesting one. I mean, the Rangers, though, hey, they still did well last night without Garcia. But the thing is, though, if you guys watched the game last night, Diamondbacks were scoring a good amount, a little more runs, but obviously it wasn't enough for them to try to come back, though. But you may start to wonder, though, if it's a sign that, hey, the Diamondbacks maybe could answer back, but I don't know. But that's just going to be tough for the Diamondbacks to even pull something like that off. And just think about it, though, if Rangers do end up scoring the win tonight, the World Series champs, the first time in their franchise history.
Yeah. You got to think. I mean, it was 11-0, and then the Rangers or the Astros. Wow, I'm so sorry. The Diamondbacks put up 7 runs. So I mean, it was good to see, but it's like they just can't get in a hole like that again. Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, obviously my pick's in jeopardy. Is I did pick Arizona to win it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
they could answer back.
That's true.
Yeah, I think the
crazier things have happened.
I think the series. I mean, because Arizona is looking to do the thing that hasn't been done since 2016. A comeback from 3-1.
Right.
I think if Arizona wants to win tonight and bring the series back to Texas, they have to give, they have to get off to a great start. Hit off Eovaldi early. Eovaldi's I think 4-0 in his postseason, right?
Yeah, no. Him and actually Montgomery took his first loss against the Astros, but him and Montgomery have been have been mostly lights out for the whole postseason. I'm
gonna predict. I think Arizona wins tonight.
I think they can. I also think that they can win tonight. I actually, it's weird to say this, but I have more trust in Arizona's bullpen than I do in the Rangers' bullpen. I think that's one area where the Rangers are actually weaker.
Yeah.
And especially when you look at guys like Brandon Saalfrank and Andrew Saalfrank and Kevin Ginkel and guys like that, and they've been a lot better than the Rangers' bullpen. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see, especially because Jonah Heim is also questionable. So one of the reasons that the Rangers their lineup is so deadly is because it's not front loaded.
Yeah, I just think for the Rangers, I don't know. I feel like honestly, I think I would go if the Rangers do win tonight, which I would go maybe. I think many people will disagree with me on this, but I would pick Seager over Garcia.
Well, Garcia got hurt. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Not for World Series MVP.
Yeah.
I would definitely pick Semien just because of the 5 RBIs yesterday.
I would pick Seager.
But either one would be a great option. And Alex, what about you?
Oh yeah, I feel like so far it's been an all right series. Maybe not quite as back and forth as some of the. Well, I guess not some. Most of them weren't, but the championship series, both of those went to the Game 7s. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to get it to that point, because at this point it's all an uphill battle. You got to win back-to-back, and right now it's been difficult, as you said last night, 11-0, 11-7, being able to chip away. That could be a sign of a momentum swing, a little bit of a push. I don't know if it would go across multiple games, but I feel like just having at least shown like that they can, kind of start pushing back and like not give up. Just more of a mentality thing. I could see that coming back later on, but otherwise, I mean, it seems like the Rangers have it at this point. Like, it feels like the ball's in their court. They really have control over the trajectory, but the Diamondbacks can still at least push back, I feel like, at least for this game, just extend it one more.
And Carson, how about you?
I hate to be a broken record, but I also do agree with Alex. I feel like the Rangers might have it on lock, but the Diamondbacks do have potential to push the series down to it. And some cool facts from Game 4 that I found was Corey Seager homered again, becoming the second shortstop to hit a home run in consecutive World Series games, joining Derek Jeter. And he did it in 4 and 5 in 2000, which I thought that was pretty cool. And he is also the first shortstop with 3 homers in a single World Series. So I would say if the Rangers do win it all, which is, more than likely, I would say he would get MVP. I also he's like the only guy on the Rangers that I think is like an actual human being anyways. His brother was pretty cool, Kyle Seager. So,
oh, yeah, all those years with the Mariners.
Yeah, retired too soon in my opinion. But yeah, I feel like it's a good World Series so far. Game 2, I saw a little bit of that. I enjoyed that. It seemed like a really high-scoring game at first from what I saw in the first few innings. Corbin Carroll did good that game. So if they can get that momentum back, then this is just going to go all the way down to possibly 7. But they need to find that momentum once again. That was in Game 2. So.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see like how people view Corey Seager, especially after this end of the season, because I feel like he's always been a guy where he's always been in the conversation for like the best shortstops in baseball, but a lot of people I feel like would say like Turner or at least last year, before the start of last season, like Tim Anderson, Bo Bichette, guys like that. And I feel like Seager, like he's obviously a really good player, but he kind of got pushed to the side. But I personally think after this season, I would have Seager comfortably in my top 3 with like Trey Turner and probably Bo Bichette. So I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think the difference of it will be, in my opinion, like I said, how each bullpen does. I think a lot of pressure is on Zach Gallen right now because after the Brewers series, he has gotten into holes early, and I give a lot of credit to Merrill Kelly, and especially Merrill Kelly, for chirping Phillies fans and somehow coming out alive, because that doesn't happen very often. And Brandon Pfaadt, the rookie, I think Pfaadt, I don't know how you say his name. He's got a weird name, but he's been very good as well. But a lot of pressure on Zach Gallen, but man, it's just, you look at this Rangers rotation, and even without, it's just hard to see a path forward when even without Scherzer, you have maybe after the Braves fully healthy, the best rotation in baseball. With Evaldi, who's had a complete career turnaround this year, and then Montgomery, who you guys know I'm super high on. He's been absolutely amazing in the playoffs. And then Dane Dunning, who's super underrated. I still will never forgive the White Sox for including him in the Lance Lynn trade. That was tough. But yeah, Dane Dunning is super underrated. So I feel like the rotation, like if they wanted, they could legitimately run like 5 starters. But I just feel like the path forward is just a little bit harder, especially since outside of Carroll, Marte, Tommy Pham, and Lourdes Gurriel, the guys who we need to produce. Like Moreno has kind of gone quiet, which I understand. He's only 23. He's still pretty young. But then Christian Walker, ever since the Brewers series, has been kind of cold. Alec Thomas has been really inconsistent. It's not a good look when Geraldo Perdomo has the second most postseason home runs ever since the ALDS, and he's considered to be a defensive specialist. But I think that I agree with what Ryan said. I definitely think they can win tonight, but I don't see them coming back to Arizona. I'd say Rangers in 6. But anyways, it is now 5:55, so we have time. Unfortunately, this is going to be one of my, because I really do want to talk about the Heisman race, because I think it's shaping up to be pretty interesting. We have the chance for it to maybe not be a quarterback this year.
No, I think it is.
I think Harrison has a chance. I'm sad that Brock Bowers got hurt, because if he hadn't gotten hurt, then we would have 2 non-quarterback skill position players who would be inside the top 10 right now. Marvin Harrison is currently listed as the 7th favorite to win it, but I think that's really shaping up to be interesting. And with Penix and Jordan Travis and J.J. McCarthy, shout out to my boy. But we got final thoughts, so we'll talk about that next week. Carson, let's start with you, man. Final thoughts.
So last week was the UWW talent show.
Oh yeah.
And
is anyone you know was in it?
Yeah, some
Yes.
couple of cool people. They might be in the fishbowl here right now. We may have not placed, but the Royal Purple did post a YouTube video for honorable mentions.
Oh, rigged.
Top 3
Rigged.
favorites. Yeah. We are in that video, so to them we are one of the best, and I feel like to the public we were one of the best. At least that's from what I've heard. Everybody there was great and everything, but honestly I just had a great time performing.
Yeah, it's similar lines to what I was going to talk about. Yeah, talent show. Just really had a great time, a whole lot of fun. Big thanks to John
Yep,
doing vocals
shout
and
out
guitar. Really carried. He
Shout
did,
out to Eric too. Eric
Yeah.
Palmer for the drum set.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, thank you, Eric, for the drum set. Wouldn't have been able to do it.
Did you touch my drum set?
Wouldn't have been able to do it without him. Shout out to Drew for being the best.
Yep.
Great stagehand.
Beautiful
We drew our best.
job.
Did amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful job. It was so you put it in so subtly.
Thank you. Yeah, we did a lot of that backstage.
Yeah, a lot.
Shout out to man to my left here for just bringing up the idea at the meeting. Then also a shout out to Sierra for bringing up the whole talent show idea to me at all. Without that, I wouldn't have known about it,
There you
let
go.
alone thought about it. So thank you to everybody for just making what was the best experience here, and honestly one of the best experiences of my life.
Oh, that's great to hear, man. I'm sad to hear you guys did. I can't imagine the acts that would have placed or how much effort you guys put into it.
Yeah.
It was still
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan, how about you, man? Final thoughts?
James Harden to the LA Clippers makes them a championship contender.
Oh,
don't
I
know
wanted to
that.
talk about that, and Chris beat me to it, and I figured, Drew has already get on my case about repeating topics. I wanted to talk about that because, but that's definitely, if they can, it's the same story with the Clippers every year. If they can stay healthy,
If.
I would agree, but that's such a big if with their,
They
man.
can stay healthy.
If they can stay healthy, I definitely have them in the conversation.
They might have, I think they have a chance.
If they can stay healthy, I'd have them in the conversation. I would agree with you on that. But yeah, that's going to be interested to see how that plays out. Very funny picture came up on Twitter of Terrence Mann when he saw James Harden walk into the locker room, and he just got this pain look on his face because he knows his minutes are gone. But yeah, Zach, how about you, man?
Not only is the NASCAR Cup Series hosting its final race season this weekend, but also the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the top 4 drivers that have a shot at the Truck Series title this year: Corey Carson Hocevar, Ben Rhodes, and Grant Enfinger. And then meanwhile, in NASCAR Xfinity Series, the 4 drivers with a shot at winning the Xfinity Series title are Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, John Hunter Nemechek, and Cole Custer. So those 2, as well as the Cup Series this year for championship weekend, is going to be an interesting one.
Oh, very. Apparently, that's not an obscure sport, so we can't talk about it. But yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. Thanks for bringing that up. My final thoughts, shout out to the Bengals for panicking the 49ers into trading for a guy that they'll probably not end up paying. So we broke the 49ers and got back to 500, over 500. Go us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, let's see what he does this year.
We're
though.
back. Joe Burrow had his mandatory 4 terrible games of the season, and he's back. We are the Super Bowl run is back on. But
Let's go.
anyways, yeah, that is going to be the end of our Wednesday episode of Hawk Talk. We'll be back here next Wednesday with the same crew and another good slate of topics. We ended on time today. I'm getting better with the time management. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you guys so much for watching.